This is the FlipNerd.com Expert Real Estate Investing Show, the show for real estate investors, whether you're a veteran or brand new. I'm your host, Mike Hambright, and each week I bring you a new expert guest that will share their knowledge and lessons with you. If you're excited about real estate investing, believe in personal responsibility, and taking control of your life and financial destiny, you're in the right place. This is episode number 380, and my guest today is Connor Steinbrook. Now, most new real estate investors start the business without a lot of access to capital, or really perhaps no money at all. Now, unfortunately, many new real estate investors also fail. Sometimes because of lack of cash, but also sometimes because they just try to figure out everything on their own and just run out of time and don't have enough time in the day-to-day business. Now, today, Connor and I share a concept of joint ventures on deals, where you either focus on the buy side of the business, that is, finding deals and getting purchase contracts, or the sale side of the business, where you focus on building your cash buyer list or people that you can sell to. Then you partner with an investor to help you handle the other side of the business that you're not focused on. If your time is limited, there are ways to work with others in this business to help you achieve your goals. You're going to enjoy today's show, so let's go ahead and get started. Please help me welcome Connor Steinbrook to the show. Connor, welcome to the show, my friend.
Mike, how you doing?
Good. It's always interesting when I have people on the show that are, because you're in the same market as me, so sometimes I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, wait, this guy's just down the street from me, or here we are, we could be a million miles away, and you wouldn't know it the way we're recording this, so yeah.
Yeah, so don't share too many secrets today.
Yeah, no. Hey, I'm an open book. It's funny. I used to be more closed-minded. Like I thought everybody was my competition, and a lot of people that know me well now know that everything I do is around trying to find ways to work with people and joint ventures and partnerships and stuff like that. Because truthfully, the business is more fun when you work with other people.
I agree. I mean, I think that's pretty common for a lot of investors. They start out and they got this. There's too much competition. There's not enough deals. Let's keep everything tightened down, and then they realize this is a networking relationship business that they got to get out there and share. And the more you share with other people, the more they're going to share with you. Yeah. And it's just a benefit for everybody.
Yeah. And then, a market like we're in here, there's 7.5 million people here. So sometimes you start to realize, like, man, even if I'm the biggest guy in town, which I'm not, but even if I was, I would still probably have low single digit market share, Yeah. It's so fragmented.
It's hard to grasp it. It can go both ways, where you're thinking there's no deals, and then some days you're driving on the highway, you see so many houses out there. Now you're overwhelmed that there's so many houses. How are you going to get to them?
Right.
And it's rare that I come across other investors that I know that are active in the market that we're competing against the same house. And that's just how you know that there's just way more inventory than it actually seems.
Yeah. Man, I'm really excited to talk about, this is kind of the basis of what we're talking about today, is ways to joint venture to get started. If you're starting, you say you really want to get into real estate investing and you really hate that job, whatever it might be, whatever's inspiring you to get started in real estate investing, but then you're broke, or you don't have a lot of money, or maybe you're even in debt. Like, the answer isn't, well, let me go fix all that before I get started. Like, there are some ways to get started. So it's going to be a good discussion today. I'm glad you're going to share it with us. Hey, before we get started, though, tell us I know you've got a pretty interesting background yourself, how you got started. So tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I have a little bit different type of past than most. I went off to college in 2003, and one of my hobbies at the time was playing poker with friends in the dorm room. And the big 2003 Chris Moneymaker movement happened, the online poker boom happened, and it just kind of snowballed as kind of like a modern day gold rush. And a lot of young guys in college basically realized that they could take a small amount of money and run up to a large amount of money real quick playing a game. And it was kind of made all our heads explode. And so it became a real big deal for my generation, was the online poker boom. And I started out playing, small stakes, buying in for $10, 10-cent blinds, and just worked it up. And I was what was called an online multi-tabler. We'd play, because the systems allowed us to play more than one table. We'd play, 16 to 24 tables at a time and put them on a grid. And I'd multi-table the upper mid stakes, right? And I did very well for that, doing that. And between 2003 2011, that's how I made my living, was playing poker. And then those of you listening right now know what happened after that, right? If you were in the poker world or played it all, is the United States Department of Justice seized Full Tilt Poker and PokerStars in 2011 on April 15th. And they called it Black Friday because the sites were doing money. There was lots of issues going on behind the scenes. And I was too young and too naive to not know that good things do not last forever. And basically, overnight, 10 years of my life just disappeared like this, and I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I started experimenting, going into other businesses, and found myself into real estate.
Yeah. So aside from the real estate thing, give people that are listening, especially some younger people, probably not, you don't have to be younger to learn from this lesson, but just about having all of your eggs in one basket that you don't control. Like maybe just share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad you're bringing that up, because that's something that I'm very hard pressing on for new investors or anybody really is. I had one plan A, right? You have one income stream. That income stream disappears, even if it's a really good one.
Yeah.
Where are you at now? So I really am big on pressing on MSI, multiple streams of income, having different flows coming into your account. So say you have 5 different streams of income coming in and 2 disappear, you're still okay, right?
Yep.
So a lot of people have a job or that they've been working for a long time and they get relying on it. What happens if if the business goes under or they get fired or laid off? So it's very good to have multiple streams of income, and real estate is a great business to do that for a lot of people that have a job.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of talk about this because a lot of people either don't have the time or don't have the money to get into it, and they let that be their limiting belief as why they can't get into real estate. And you got to have more than one income stream.
Yeah, even inside of real estate. And like you said, I teach people that all the time. Like everybody wants to get started with wholesaling, or they want to do some fix and flips. But it's like, man, your goal should ultimately be for that to enable your business to operate, but to be putting some stuff away, whether it's rentals or notes or some other kind of cash flowing assets that if you ever want to stop, you still have some money coming in, right?
Yeah, I mean, the whole goal with real estate is get to the cash flow, right?
Yeah.
But not everybody has that path to get there easily. If you don't understand, if you don't have a bunch of money to throw in some properties on your own, you're going to have to be able to raise money. And it's hard to raise money if you have no credibility in the marketplace, or if you're not bank financeable. You can't go get credit lines. You can't go get bank loans unless you understand low equity purchases like subject to how you can actually build a portfolio. So you're going to have to start out doing transactional deals, wholesaling, flipping houses. And that's just the reality of it for most investors. They don't have that option to start.
Yeah. Because I can tell, it's gotten harder to buy houses, and we're facing more competition now. And just even me I've been in the business for about 10 years, you work really hard for a while, and then you're always thinking about, how can I make this easier? What can I do that's better? One of the things that I didn't really plan for this to happen, but when I look back now, I have a decent sized rental portfolio, and I look back and I was like, man, I wish I would have kept 3 times more as rentals, because now I know that those things are starting to cash flow. We're getting some houses paid off, and it's like, wow, these are, they're a pain in the butt, but the cash flow from them, my family could, there'll be a time real soon where we could live on that if we wanted to. And so it's, if nothing else, it's a nice insurance policy.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, when you go in as a new investor and you start flipping these houses and you're like, well, I wanted to keep as a rental, but I could sell it right now and make $45,000. Right. And it's hard to have that discipline to say, okay, I'm going to go finance out and keep this property, even though that equity is still in there. In fact, the equity is going to go up.
Right.
Just like you, I wish I kept a lot more properties, especially since some of them have gone up. I mean, some of these houses I bought 3 years ago that were worth 120 here in Dallas are now going for 180.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah.
And so I should have kept them, but it's this balance between, do you take the short-term gratification, the large transactional money, or do you put it away and build up that passive income? So it's always a back and forth between most investors.
I've never, so this is happening in real time. I'm actually selling 2 of my rentals. I've never sold a rental. I've just kept them, even if they were a pain in the butt. So I'm selling a couple of my dogs, literally one this week and one later this month. So one of them I paid $15,000 for. We put about 10 into it, and so I'm actually seller financing them. That's part of the reason why I want that cash flow. But I'm just tired of dealing with trouble tenants, and one of them has an HOA, which is, I hate HOAs. But yeah, I'm selling that one for 90, and I'm seller financing it. So I paid 15 for it and put 10 into it initially, and then I've got another one we paid 22 for, and we probably put about 15 into that one. And I just locked that up yesterday for 125 on a seller finance note. So it's like, Are you looking to change your life through real estate investing? If you're interested in either getting started or taking your business to the next level, please check out FlipNerd's private program at theinvestormachine.com. This is the most robust real estate investor coaching, networking, and mastermind on the planet, and designed for your success. If you're ready to roll up your sleeves, ready to take personal responsibility for your own success, and ready to dive into a world-class instructional coaching program that provides you step-by-step instruction to help you achieve financial freedom, then you should apply today. Spaces are limited and candidates are only considered after an application and interview process. Our 12-month investor program is unparalleled. Think you might be a fit? Learn more today at theinvestormachine.com. And I'm just going to figure it out myself, and then a lot of those people obviously end up failing because they try to do it all themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solopreneur type of mentality. You know, I'm going to wear every hat in my business and do it all on my own. And for one, I mean, a lot of people, you know, it could be their nature. They may be introverted. They just don't go out there and meet people. But this is a networking business. If you don't know people in this business, how are you going to be successful? I mean, you can still kind of go do it, but you don't want to be kind of running on your own, solo, you know, a lone wolf, I guess you could say, because entrepreneurship can be lonely for a lot of people. And I see this all the time. They come to me and, you know, and it's good to get out and network with people. And so we're going to talk about a strategy that I used to build my business when I ran out of money, because I think it's very important because, you know, you're in the education business and similar to me, that people come to us all the time. And what do they tell us? You know, I want to get in the business, but I don't have any money. Yeah. So how are they going to get in the business if they don't have any money? And they need a marketing budget. They need, you know, costs to run their websites, their email servicing company, lots of different sunk costs that they're going to have, fixed costs that they have to have. But if they don't have money for marketing, how are they going to find a deal?
Right.
And so this is kind of what I show people. So a lot of people get in and they understand wholesaling, how to do an assignment, but they don't understand what a double assignment is and that you can do this. And so basically what we're doing is we're doing a double assignment or co-wholesale deal, but we're doing the process virtually. So we're never leaving the office. Because in my opinion, the two biggest time wasters for a new investor is how much time they spend on a phone and how much time they spend in the car. So that if they can reduce those hours in the car, it's just going to increase their income.
Yep.
And so what we teach them is how to build a free buyers list using the internet and connect buyers or connect individuals who have a house under contract already and sell that property for them. And so this would be the difference between a regular wholesale deal and a co-wholesale deal is you would be the wholesaler marketing for that deal, spending your money, getting the house under contract and selling it to a buyer. Now, if in a co-wholesale deal, there's two wholesalers. One individual went out there, spent their money marketing, found a house, got under contract, but they didn't have anybody to sell it to, and now they need to partner with someone. And that's what we're teaching individuals to do.
So you kind of build a network of people that will bring you deals because you've spent your time. If there's only so many hours in a day, right? You could choose your time to build a list of, you know, generate leads to try to find sellers, or you could spend your time trying to find a list of buyers that are ready to buy. So all you're doing is kind of partnering up really the buy and the sale side, right?
Absolutely. Just like in traditional real estate, you have a buyer's agent and a listing, you know, agent.
Yep.
You got two different agents, 3%. You can do the same thing with the wholesale deal. And so most people don't understand this, but the big wholesale companies in their area, they're doing 400, 500, 600 deals a year. Most of them are not generating those leads on their own. 70, 80, 90% of their business, most of them are coming from this co-wholesaling strategy where they position themselves in the market, sponsoring the REI clubs or sponsoring the expos. They get out there, present themselves as the big wholesaler in town. And then when someone goes out and finds a deal, they spend all, this is what it looks like from new investors. They get in the business, they're consumed with the education, the podcast, the YouTube, their job, whatever they're doing, they're you know, just rushing to get their business off the ground. Then they finally find a house, and then they go, what am I going to do with it? I don't have the money to close on it. I haven't built my buyer's list. And they have two options: terminate that contract or bring it to another investor.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what we do is for one of our strategies is we position ourselves as the exit strategy for these individuals. Yeah. So you have two options. You can either spend your time looking for sellers or looking for buyers. But at least if you have a buyer's list and you run out of money, you can go wholesale deal for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I was just teaching a large group of people this past week, and we had an event, and you can see people are fearful of like, well, if I find a contract, what if I can't sell it? They're always afraid of that. And of course, if you don't buy it right, you know, you can't even co-wholesale them because you paid too much. You got to buy it right. But there's no doubt. The funny thing is and I didn't always appreciate this, but like you said, there's some people that we know that are, you know, here locally that are kind of co-wholesaling. This is really their model, is to go find investors that they can help them sell their deal. And when they put effort into building their buyers list, like it's one thing to go to RIA clubs and have a buyers list full of potentially other broke people, right? Yeah. But if you really know how to go after buyers that are, you know, maybe people that are focused on keeping the houses as rentals, people that might be willing to pay a little bit more for them than the traditional like rehabber necessarily that also is in the middle and wants to make money in the short term versus somebody that's more of a long term. Like if you really focus on buyers, you can ultimately find people that are willing to pay more than the traditional wholesale buyers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So most people overlook the power of their buyers list, right? They just say, oh, yeah, there's buyers everywhere. They don't understand, like you said, the quality of the buyer.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, who can pay you the most? It goes from least to most. You go rehabbers, then landlords, then owner finance investors, then owner occupant buyers. So rehabber is going to pay you the least amount for your deal because if they make a mistake on their numbers in the present moment, they actually take a loss when they have to sell the house, an actual cash loss.
Right.
A landlord can usually pay a little bit more because they're financing. If they make a mistake on their numbers, they're getting out over time. Same thing with the owner finance investor. They can kind of tweak the numbers. But, say on some of these low-end properties, if you put it on the MLS, you close on it, list it on the MLS, these owner-occupant buyers will pay you the most because they'll come in and do the labor and do their own labor, and they're going to take that cost, which is the biggest part of the rehab, out of their mind and out of their calculation when they're looking at buying the property.
Right.
But when it comes to a cash investor that we're looking for, who's going to pay the most, we're looking for that individual who's not using debt service or debt leverage. They're funding these properties out of their own cash, out of their own IRA, or whatever they're going to do.
Yep.
So they're not having those underlying points and interests that most investors have. And then they have some type of relationship to the business, whether they own a contracting company or they own a foundation company where they can do the work cheaper.
Yep.
So if they can save $10,000 by not paying interest and they can save $10,000 doing the work cheaper, they can offer 20 grand more than what most people can. This is why you're seeing a lot of people pay 85 cents on the dollar for properties here. One, some of them are uneducated and making bad mistakes. Others are just positioned themselves where they can pay more for a property and still do well on it.
Yeah, or they're like first-time rental owners where they're getting Fannie and Freddie loans at 4.5%, 5% stretched over 30 years. So their financing cost is much, much lower. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So how do you? Maybe we could talk a little bit about. Well, let's kind of come back to like finding your how you build your buyers list. So maybe just talk a little bit more about why the JV. So you just kind of explained a lot of the benefits of if you really focus on building your buyers list, how to find a higher quality candidate. And so for most real estate investors that are coming in that are really putting a lot of their focus into lead generation, which truthfully is what I teach. Like it's all about the leads, right? That's historically that's what I teach, and that's what I do. But just that power of partnering up with somebody, and also one thing I want to kind of just throw out there as well is in my business when I started, I worked with my wife, but we essentially were partners. Like we split up the business to the buy side and the sale side. She got her license and she listed most of our stuff, and even if we were wholesaling, she kind of took care of it. So real estate, even individual real estate businesses, it's very common for people to have a partner. And one person is kind of on the acquisition side, one part's on the disposition side, or that's probably the most obvious split in a traditional real estate business anyway, right?
Yeah, guys, like you shouldn't shy away from partnerships, especially when you're starting your business. So let me kind of back up a little bit and kind of explain how this strategy came out so it makes sense for a lot of your listeners. So even though I did really well in online poker, I made a bunch of money. When that income stream disappeared, like we're talking about, I had one income stream. It left me on the basically on my knees. I didn't know what I was going to do. And so when I got in the business, just like a lot of people, I made every mistake in the book. I bought a mobile home on land and I didn't realize that I just bought the land. I had someone steal money from me. And before I knew it, I was 65 grand debt. And I didn't have any more room to take out credit cards. I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I was literally working for minimum wage, just trying to figure it out, just trying to pay my credit card minimums because nobody wanted to hire me because I had a 10-year, in their opinion, gambling history, right? Even though I did very well in that business. And so the only thing I needed to do was go to the REI clubs, right? And so I was going to REI clubs and I was building my buyers list for free using sites like Craigslist and other online resources. And there was an individual there who had a property flyer. And I asked if I had a buyer for the house, would they split the commission with me? And that's basically how it all started. And then a few weeks later, I was running ads online. Someone called me, just regular We Buy Houses ads. They asked me if I wanted to buy a certain house in a certain area. And I said, let me think about it. And right after that, I had someone call me and ask me if I had any houses in this area. And so basically you're playing the matchmaker between buyers and other individuals in your marketplace who have the deals.
Yep.
To do these deals, I had none of my own money marketing for these deals. I never met the seller in person. I never met the buyer in person. We docu-sign these contracts, so we're doing it all digitally. We're not going to the property because our buyers are going to the property to see the property because we don't have to show it. because it's an assignment contract. We're never going to the closing table. So I'm literally never leaving the office. My time in these deals are 3 to 5 hours usually, and they take, the traditional time for a wholesale deal to close.
Yep.
7 to 14 days. And the reason why it's powerful is because if you run out of money for marketing for your deals, which is expensive in a way, marketing is gambling. How are you going to get any deals in this business unless you get just a random referral? And so other wholesalers in your market who have houses under contract have their hands raised, right? Right now, how many houses do you think are under contract in DFW? And whether they're at a price that you can sell it or right there borderline, that homeowner has basically been identified as someone who's ready to sell their property at an investor price, right?
Right, yep.
And so we want to work with these people because they have the inventory. And when we're in low inventory situations, if we go directly to wholesalers, new wholesalers in specific, they have all the inventory. And as long as we have a way to help them monetize those leads, we're going to make money partnering with them.
Yeah. And from their standpoint, sometimes people fall back to I want to do everything myself. But if you really are, if you're an investor and you really are focused on lead generation and buying, for you to go focus on selling, you're going to take away a significant portion of your time. So I presume you can kind of teach people hey, if you find somebody that's really good at buying, you say look, yeah, you're going to split the deal with me, but you don't have to focus on the back half of the business. So effectively, if you did all that, you're probably going to do half as many as deals because you're focused on two different things. And for you, obviously, it's the flip of that, right? You're going to focus on the selling side and building that side of the business, and you're facilitating or helping other people focus on the buy side. So it's a little more informal than a partnership with me and my wife, right? Where we just, we were married, so we're kind of in a partnership anyway, which is the most formal relationship, right? But I'm saying in your business, there's a lot of people that are brothers or just buddies or whatever that get in business together. And so this is a way to kind of have a little more informal joint venture kind of arrangement without being in the business together, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to help to educate the new investors in your area. The individuals that you're going to call are the people putting up bandit signs. Most of the time, people putting up bandit signs are new investors getting in the business. And when I started, I had a number of contracts that I put under contract that would have been easily $10,000 deals, but I didn't have a buyer's list at the time, and I didn't even know that I could bring that deal to another investor. Yeah. So if you let these new investors understand that, hey, look, if you get a house under contract, bring it to me. I'm either going to buy it from you directly, or I can help you sell it, and we can partner on it, and just explain to them that they're putting up a lot of time, energy, and money going to find these deals. Right now, it costs me over $3,000 to get a deal in Dallas for my own acquisition costs for my my other business, not my wholesaling business. So if that individual spent $3,000, their time, energy, money going out to house after house and get a house under contract, and they can't sell it, they're running to the end of their option period and they got 3 days left, they can either terminate that contract and lose all that time, energy, money, or bring it to you. And let's say I wholesale that house for 10 grand, I make 5 grand, they make 5 grand, but in reality, I'm making all 5 grand because I don't have any costs in it up front, but you're still saving that individual from losing all that time, energy, money. Right. So they're grateful to have you come and do this. Yeah. Plus, you start the psychological spark in the back of their mind that says, I have an extra exit strategy, right? So if I can't sell it on my own, I can bring it to someone else. And there's a lot of investors in the area that only want to generate leads. They don't want to have to find buyers. And they just, that's all they do is they find the deals and let other people sell them for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So let's, and we should have mentioned this up front. We've had a lot of veteran folks on this show, and there's a lot of folks with a lot of experience that listen to this show. But I think there's a lot of new folks too. So maybe just take a minute and just to even explain what wholesaling is.
Yeah, so guys, when we're wholesaling a property, wholesaling, I guess you could say, is the easiest barrier to entry for a new investor in the business. If you don't have the money to close on a property, say it's a good deal, you wanted to flip it, but you can't get the hard money loan, you can't leave the money in there, or you don't have a credit line, or you just can't close on it. What are you going to do? You hear that you can do this business with no cash or credit. Well, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about getting a house. Say the homeowner wants to sell the house for $100,000. We're going to get a contract on that property using what's called an option contract. We're going to use the equitable title of the contract, and we're going to sell that contract to another individual in our marketplace that can close on that deal. So, for example, a rehab or a landlord, owner, finance investor, we're building a database of buyers on the side, so that when we do have a house under contract, we can get it in front of a lot of buyers quickly to increase our chances of selling that property. So say I go and meet with the homeowner and I offer them $100,000, they accept the offer of $100,000. Well, I'm gonna take that contract that I have now and I'm gonna market it to my buyers list, and I'm gonna sell that contract and the option on that contract to buy that property for, let's say, $10,000, and we're going to do what's called an assignment contract, and we're never actually going to take title of that property. We're just going to get an assignment fee. And then there's the other way of doing it, which is called a double close or a double escrow or simultaneous close, which is where we're contracting the same deal, same buyer, except this time we're closing on the property. We're going to use a third-party financing source, a transactional lender who's going to come in and fund that deal for us. So say we have the back-end buyer, as soon as they wire their money from their lender into the title company, and that title company's confirmed that their money's in escrow account. Say Mike was my lender, he's going to fund the first closing. I'm going to own that property for a short time, and back-to-back simultaneously, they're going to do 2 closings, and then Mike's going to make a transactional fee for loaning me the money for the debt or whatever it is. And so some houses have deed restrictions you're going to have to do that on, or if you're trying to hide the amount of profit you're making from the buyer or seller, that's why people usually do that.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, and that's obviously very typical for new real estate investors to start with wholesaling and assigning, just because it's faster, less risk, don't necessarily need to have money and all that stuff, right?
Well, it's just a great stepping stone to get in. So I want people to go from, wholesaling houses into flipping houses. So when you're wholesaling these houses, guys, go back and reverse engineer the property and see what happens. So say I wholesale a house to Mike. Don't just kind of let that deal go by. You want to go back later and see what he sold it for. Go into MLS and look at the photos of the property, see how much work he actually put into it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make a bunch of mistakes when you're new in the business. You're not going to know if you're selling the houses for the, most that you could sell it for. Also, if you were going to rehab it, what would you have done different? And so this gives you an idea of if your numbers are right and what they're selling for, and it's real life results.
Yeah, absolutely. I did that recently. There were a couple of deals that we wholesaled off. And there were, some areas here, they were like kind of East Dallas where it's like, yeah, it's not really Lakewood, but it's kind of close. And, so you never really know how it's going to play out. And there were just ones I was like, I just don't want to take the risk on it. I'd just rather just wholesale it. Man, I saw some people like sell houses. I thought the ARV was like 235 and they're selling them for like 350. I was like, oh man. Because by definition, historically, I'm a rehabber. So I don't mind rehabbing, but I just never thought they could pull off like what they pulled off there. And I was like, sometimes you see that and, makes you a little upset. But anyway, good kudos to them for making it happen.
Yeah, guys, when you do go back, be prepared. It could hurt a little bit because
you might have some regrets.
Yeah, that happens quite. But that's you have to learn, right?
Yeah.
So I remember a house I sold to a guy in North Richland Hills, and man, like I thought he was going to put like 40 grand in this house. He basically put like 5 grand in it, sold for full market value. And I was, so it just depends on how you look at it, because if I had bought that house, I would have put a lot more money into it. So would I have really made that same money? No, but it's good to look back and see what other investors are doing.
Yep. Because
it may give you an idea. You may be over rehabbing or you may be under rehabbing. And it's just good to go back and look and kind of see. And then by the time you do this a few times, you're conditioned and ready to kind of jump in and take on your first rehab.
Yeah. If nothing else, it provides you the education and gives you the confidence to believe in what you're doing. When you can kind of see from where you picked it up to the whole value chain, like what happened all along the way, if you have any doubt that this business kind of works or how it works, like that'll be your education, is just watching it kind of, it's like a production line, right? Like maybe you own the first factory and then your raw materials are going to the next factory to make something. When you see their product rolling off the line and you have some sort of indication of probably how much profit they made, it helps you understand the whole process.
Yeah, guys, if you can make it as a wholesaler, you can make it doing anything. It's all about what Mike said earlier, lead generation. So if you can find a house that you can wholesale, when you start flipping them, you're just going to have that much more room in it.
Right.
And then you kind of get to decide what your internal philosophy is on which houses you keep, which ones you own or finance, which ones you flip, and kind of as the leads come in, you cherry pick them and send down which funnel you want to take them down.
Yeah.
That's why wholesaling is good, because it helps people start their business out. Say you go wholesale 3 or 4 houses, make 15, 20 grand. Now you have the cash to get into your first hard money loan, and now you can take a chance.
Yep. Awesome. Well, let's just take a minute or two and just talk about building your buyers list, like some tips that you would give people. There's the obvious ones like go to RIA clubs and gather business cards and ask people what part of town they want to buy in. There's some obvious ones like that, but I know that ultimately there's some art to this, doing it kind of right as well. Maybe share some tips.
Yeah, obviously the best way to go and get your buyers list is go after your competition and find the investors in your area and see who's wholesaling, what deals they're wholesaling, and go back and reverse engineer the county records. And that's going to take some time, energy, and money, right? And it's going to burn you out if you do it on your own. You're going to need a virtual assistant to do that. But the way that I built mine up real quick was using free online sources like Craigslist and classified sites. We were, we create a squeeze page, which is a one-page landing page. We drive people there to say join our buyers list, and then it funnels directly into our back office system that we use to capture our emails, whether it's GetResponse or Aweber.
Yeah.
So we'll go place ads on really anywhere you want to put them, Facebook, Craigslist, any of these online sites that are free. Go into the buy, sell, and trade groups, put your buyers page, join our buyers page web link on there, and funnel traffic to your buyers list that way, because this is a completely free way to do it.
Right.
Plus, there's a ton of people that have houses for rent, houses for sale that they just rehabbed. So if you go on Craigslist and it says house recently rehabbed, had to be a rehabber in the first place, or if they have owner finance ads up there, ads for rent, these individuals had to buy the house in the first place. So they may be likely to buy from you. Yeah. And so we'll reach out to these individuals and get them on our buyers list and start building.
Just say, hey, I noticed you've got a house for rent. Are you looking to buy any more in that area, right?
Correct. Yeah. And guys, you got to understand there's a lot of different types of cash buyers out there, and not all of them are going to buy from you directly. So a lot of people contact me all the time and say, should I mail one of these cash buyers lists? I got this cash buyers list from whatever program or from the MLS. And you got to understand that those cash buyers are broken up between cash buyers that will buy from a wholesaler, cash buyers that won't buy from a wholesaler. You got nonprofits and government agencies, and then you got retail cash buyers. So not all those cash sales that you just pull off a cash list are going to be someone that's going to buy from a wholesaler. They could be someone that just sold their house in California for $500,000 and took their equity out and came here and bought a house for $250,000.
Right.
So we like to go through the county records and go after them directly and find the LLCs, I guess. If you're going to go do that, find that the LLCs are more likely than the, one-off homeowner names. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure I'm like you. Because I have some rentals, and I get letters or postcards every day from people looking that want to buy my houses, right? But I can't remember the last time, if ever, I've gotten a card or contacted to say, are you interested in buying more house? I noticed you have some rentals in this part of town. Would you be interested in buying some more? Most people don't put any effort into that, right? They just kind of, I don't know how they do it. It's just kind of the way, they just like collecting business cards, or, they don't really put a lot of effort into it. They just kind of assume, hey, if I find the deals, like, the buyers will come, which historically there's some truth in that, but it's always the buyers, it's always like the traditional investor buyers that want to rehab it or something like that. It's not usually the more sophisticated buyer that, and I say sophisticated, like their primary business isn't real estate investing. They're investing in rentals or seller financing or something. Those people are hard to find at RIA clubs and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
So, it's just like when you raise private money, you're not probably going to go find a very good lender at an REI club. You may find one to lend on your property, but they're going to want, high points or whatever.
Hard money rates, yeah.
Guys, there's a lot of individuals out there right now that understand real estate enough that they want to do it. For example, an individual that I just sold a house to, this is a house I fully fixed up and flipped, put it on the MLS, sold $10,000 above what I thought it should sell for. The guy runs a bunch of gyms here in DFW. Very successful, multimillionaire, done very well in business, not uneducated at all for any means. But when it comes to real estate, he's not classically trained. He hasn't gone through Flip Nerd, or he doesn't understand. Yeah. And the way he saw this property was he was going to pay $130,000 cash, or whatever, roughly around what it was. And after his net, he was going to fund it with all his cash, not put any debt on it. And so it's going to bring him basically $13,000 a year after everything. So he's seeing 10% cash on cash return. And then next year he's seeing 13,000 into 117. Next year 13,000 into 104, right? And so he's seeing an increasing return. And to him, it was way better than any investment he had his money in right now.
Yeah.
So, and he was willing to pay full market value, in fact, above market value, and pay cash and keep as a rental property.
Yeah.
And so if you can find the right, and as a wholesaler, you're probably not doing, most of y'all are not doing over 100 deals a year. So if you find 5 or 6 really good buyers like that, they'll buy all your properties.
Yep. Yeah. It's like a lot of people don't, a lot of people we're talking about people that are newer and getting started. A lot of times people that don't have a lot of money assume that everybody doesn't have a lot of money. But there are, like you said, there's people out there. There's a lot of really successful business owners that do really well in their business, and they don't know what the hell to do with their success. Like, they don't know what to do with that money. Like, they don't necessarily reinvest it back into their business, because they might be long term, like, hey, I wanna invest in rentals or something like that. But they don't. Yeah. They're not like you said, they're not sophisticated in our business. and they don't have time to go find leads and generate leads and go talk to 20 sellers to turn it into one deal. They don't do any of that. They're willing to just pay full price for it because it's still a pretty good investment, still a pretty good return, and they might just have a bunch of cash just sitting in an account somewhere earning nothing, right?
Well, I mean, if you're having trouble raising money, these are the perfect individuals to kind of network with. We're talking about networking here. A lot of these individuals have big 401k accounts or IRA accounts, which we were talking about before the podcast. If they don't know they can self-direct that IRA into real estate, a lot of times that money's just sitting there doing nothing. And if you can educate them and show them how they can make a 10, 12% return, plus they're having the shelter of the tax savings in there, they're really making a lot higher than that. If you're the first one to get to them and explain to them how to do this and self-direct their account, you're going to raise a lot of money, and you're going to basically be their go-to individual.
Right. Yep. Awesome. Well, hey, before we kind of finish up here, I want to talk about a couple more things, which is basically just give some advice on how to get started. And maybe we could break this into two buckets. Like if you are the person that really wants to focus on the lead generation side, how do you get started finding that kind of co-wholesaler to focus on the sales side? And if you're saying, hey, I want to build a network, I want to be the seller, focus on the sales side, and I want to build a network of wholesalers that will bring their deals to me that we can work on together. Maybe break that apart into two different buckets.
Yeah, so I mean, right now, guys, you're doing the right thing. You're on the podcast, you're on YouTube, you're getting that basis of education. The next step up is to go to the REI clubs. The reason why the REI clubs is a great way for new investors to start out is because that's when everybody else is starting out at the same time. I mean, I still do deals with individuals I started out with years ago, right? And if you're the one that's, a lot of these people going to these REI clubs are going to stumble across a deal from a referral or whatever it is. And if you're the one to help them exit that strategy, because if you go back from when you started your business, you didn't know what you're doing. And the first deal you had, unless you had a good mentor or someone around you didn't know what to do. So we want to network with the new wholesalers. These are the individuals putting bandit signs up. These are the individuals running ads on Craigslist. They're going to the REI clubs. You want to work with these individuals before they kind of figured everything out, because they're going to be the ones that are going to need you to sell their deals for them. Or you can just buy them directly. You don't have to do a co-wholesale strategy. You're just networking to get deals. It's just a referral strategy. And then on the backside, guys, if you don't have any money, you need to be doing proactive and reactive marketing on all sorts of social media sites and classified sites. So proactive strategies where you're actually going through, looking for these individuals, contacting people who have ads out there that they're running. And then a reactive strategy would be to place ads out there online, like banner ads or thumbnail ads that people can click on and be redirected to your website.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Good stuff. Hey, if folks want to learn more about you, Connor, what you're working on, where do they go to learn more about what you've got going on?
Yeah, I mean, guys, you can go on over to investorarmy.com. Also, if you're here in Dallas and you got deals you want to sell, you can find me at Connor Buys Houses or metroplexinvest.com. Yeah, you should be able to find me, and you can text me at any time.
So if they have deals they want to sell, first they bring them to me, and then if I don't want them, I'll send them to you. Guys.
Yeah, I guess you can send them to my but,
I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding.
We'll do it.
It's funny that I don't want to steal a thunder from the show or anything, but I actually do some JV stuff where I'll rehab it and I pay people half the profit from rehabbing. So I'll fund it, we rehab it, we sell it, we do everything. So I mean, I do the same type of thing more on the retail side. So we're basically speaking from the same book here, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people just don't want to give it up or give up 50% of the deal when they start. And so a lot of my business came from JVs, not just wholesaling, but my first rental properties, using other people's credit and cash to get into the game. Yeah. So you want to do JVs to build your business. And then as soon as you can, obviously you want to do the deal on your own. Yeah. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. Plus you're paying you got to look at like you're paying your dues. You're giving up a big portion of the profit, but that investor that's helping you get that first deal done, sharing a large portion of their knowledge and wisdom that they've figured out in the business, and probably helps you make money a lot of times. A lot of these new rehabbers probably going to lose money on a house, and then someone helps them come in and save some money. And so it's
Cool. Well, we'll add the links down below that you just shared with us down below the show here. Everybody, hey, thanks for joining us today. It's episode number 380. Connor, thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, Mike, appreciate you having me on.
Good to see you, man. So everybody, again, thanks for joining us today for episode number 380. We're going to keep them coming your way here. We're going to keep cranking them out. If you haven't yet, please go to iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, YouTube, anywhere where we syndicate our information, wherever you're listening or watching right now. And subscribe and give us a positive rating if you could. That's the fuel that kind of keeps us going here. So we appreciate you guys. Hopefully you learned something today. Thanks to Connor, and we'll see you on another upcoming episode. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the FlipNerd.com Investing Show. If you're not yet an elite member of FlipNerd, you're missing out. We have tons of great training, including a new detailed masterclass published each month and live training webinars with experts twice a month. Plus, you'll get access to all of our archives, where we already have a growing library of masterclasses and other training videos. Elite members also get membership in our incredible online mastermind group, where many of the top real estate investors from across the country, including many of the hundreds of guests I've had on the show in the past, are already members. Whether you're brand new, looking to get started, or a veteran, you simply must join today. I promise you won't be disappointed. To learn more or join today, please visit flipnerd.com/lab. That's flipnerd.com/lab. See you on the next show.